Hey everybody, it's your girl Myka, aka Butter, and I'm back with another scoop of mocha chocolate. Oh my goodness. So let's get into it. Today we talking about lovely Miss How you doing, Wendy Williams, and her situation. And oh my goodness, it is messy.
How you doing?
So let's get into it. So here we go. Now, before I get started, let me just bring this back on up to the top. Yes, I wasn't ready, y'all. I'm sorry, I was not ready. But we're going to read this article. It comes from, it was written by Dana Schuster on page6.com. And I want to read this article to you guys because it has some very interesting claims in it. And I've read other articles from this particular writer before, and it seems like they do their due diligence and do their homework. So I'm not going to, reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to read what she had to say. But before we get into the article, I want to say that, Wendy Williams has been through a whole lot. As a fan, I pray for her, and I hope that her situation turns out better than what it's been. Now, so far, um, for me, it started in 2017 because I really didn't know anything about Wendy Williams. I'm not an East Coaster, like far East Coast, where she had a radio show. She's well known on the East Coast. For me, not so much. I was West Coast and then Midwest, and West Coast way before her show on TV aired. And then Midwest, I wasn't even thinking about television at that point. I was too busy out having fun and partying. By the time I got to college, I wasn't worried about TV then either. So I really didn't know too much about Wendy Williams. Of course, you've seen her, but it's not really somebody that you like, ooh, let me go watch her. So anyway, now that I'm a little older and I dabble in some TV here and there, and I look at a little YouTube, and I look at a little, a little bit of this and a little bit of Shade Room and a little bit of that and a little bit of YouTube and a little bit of this and a little bit of BET and a little bit of this and a little bit of Showbox and a little bit of, yeah, some of that. So with that being said, I have been kind of following the story on YouTube. It's kind of a big deal. People are doing stories about her and really bringing the tea. So I was like, let me see this particular story because it keeps coming up in my feed. So I did my little research and I've been reading different articles and things. So for me, it started in 2017. In 2017, when she passed out, right? On Halloween, her Halloween show. Then I found out, like, okay, the lady is a recovering addict. So, applause to her for overcoming that and, keeping going with what she's doing in her career. She got married, she had a child. I had no idea who Kevin Hunter was. No idea. Not at all. Not even a little bit. I was like, oh. But apparently that's her husband. I'm late. So y'all please forgive me for being late. But now that I'm here, get this scoop. So come to find out she's a recovering addict, right? Um, Come to find out she's married to a man who is apparently a cheater and he got a side chick. So I'm like, man, that's messed up. Then come to find out she outed certain people about certain things that were real private. And so people really didn't like her in the hood. The thing with, oh gosh, what was his name? If y'all think of his name, put in the comments. The gentleman that she told off on his wife that, she broke the story that his wife had cancer and he was really pissed off about it. Some people in the hood was saying he put out some money on the girl, but I don't know nothing about that at all. Okay, I'm not no gangster. I just heard through the, little YouTube streets or whatever. Maybe a little article streets or maybe some hood streets, who knows, but I ain't got nothing to say about it. Anyway, um, so now, after the whole addiction thing and after the whole trying to have babies thing and finally having one and being married and, she overcame the addiction and apparently overcame alcoholism too. I ain't one to gossip. You ain't heard it from me. And then, now there's this cheating scandal and her husband got a side chick and he buying the girl houses down the street. And, now the girl's pregnant, supposedly. All this is alleged, by the way, because Wendy has not confirmed any of this except for her recovering addiction. So now it's a whole nother ball game because on top of all of that, apparently she's getting her tail whooped by Mr. Hunter. And this is like the sixth, seventh, eighth, 10th time that I've heard this. At first, I just kind of brushed it off. There's another big blogger, and of course, I didn't write his name down. Scotty B. I think it's Scotty B. Yeah. So she's known for taking little stories from him, her. I don't know how Scotty B refers to be called. I'm sorry. It's either him or her. So I apologize. Correct me in the comments, please. So they got into a little tiff. She sent him a cease and desist, and he was like, "Oh no, honey. Not only am I not gonna cease and desist, I'm gonna run this tea about you." And so he ran the story that her husband, not only did her husband beat on her regularly, but that he had a room built. Oh, that's so sad. A room built in their house that was soundproof, so that their son, could not hear when he beat his mother. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's horrible. So, I mean, that makes me feel something in my heart. Somebody that would do that, I hope that's not true. That's horrible. Somebody living in a situation where you had to go to your room so you can catch your beat down as a grown woman, a 50-year-old woman at that. Oh my gosh. So anyway, here's the story that I found, and it was very interesting because it brings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10 different accounts from over the years of Wendy, well, more than 10 actually, over the years of Wendy being abused. And I want to bring this story to light because there may be people out there that have been abused. I think abuse is so wrong. It's so hurtful and it's very dangerous. It's a dangerous cycle to get into. So if you are being abused, please contact your nearest abuse hotline. But in the meantime, in between time, let's get to the story. So I'm going to have to put my glasses on because, I'm an old lady. And I'm going to be drinking water here and there too because I'm an old lady. All right, so let's get into it. On December 20th, a jittery Wendy Williams appeared in her daytime TV show, slurring and repeating words. Later that day, she apologized on Instagram, blaming pain medication for a fractured shoulder and Graves' disease for her less than stellar performance. She promised a better Wendy in 2019. She hasn't been on air since. Sources close to the host tell the Post that Wendy Williams has been acting erratically at work for the last few years, with behavior worsening in recent months. A recent guest, now this is the first account. Actually, I don't count this as the first account. I didn't tell you that Kevin Hunter's own mother actually came with an account recently where she says that she witnessed, several incidents, including one where he threw her down the stairs. So that would be account 1 in my book, and this would be the second account from a frequent guest that told the Post, while on the show last year, producers told me, "You carry this segment," implying that Wendy couldn't do so on her own. Now, when you got to tell a guest to carry the show, I don't know if that's good. I mean, it's one thing if you have a guest who's a guest, but if a frequent guest that you have on the show has to carry the show for you, has to, not because you said, "Hey, take over." Like I watch oh gosh, what's his name? Sean Bradley. And he has a frequent guest that comes on, and he'll be like, "Look, I'm gonna let you go. You just go do your thing," because that's what she's good at. That's what she does, and she's really good at it. So that's Onsite April, by the way, in case you're wondering. Sean Bradley and Onsite April. That's a good pair. Anyway, back to Wendy Williams. When you have a frequent guest where they have to take over because you just can't keep up, that's a completely different thing. So shout out to the frequent guest. Um, Williams is a little out of sorts, said the frequent guest. Now, last week, Radar Online published photos of the host in South Florida. Now, this is literally last week. Um, so if you don't remember, that was probably the only picture of her. This was just last week in Florida. She was coming out of a CVS or something. So I don't know if you guys remember that picture, but there it is. So her team says she's in long-term hospitalization for a fractured shoulder and complications from Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune disorder that affects the thyroid. But sources say that the queen of spilling tea has been hiding pictures worth of her own secrets for more than a decade. That's 10 years, y'all, in case you didn't know. Including emotional and, in the past, even physical abuse by her husband and manager, Kevin Hunter. And you'll see him pictured there, looking like a turtle head. Now, in parentheses, we see a representative for Williams and Hunter declined to respond to requests for comment on the accounts from these sources. So they were contacted. No one responded. Let's keep it moving. Employees of Williams' TV show have long worried about their boss and her unusual behavior, which they say began to increase around the 2014-2015 season. Now, these are employees of Williams' TV show, not her personal staff. Okay. Now, that was a separate account. Here's another account. One former TV show producer who worked on the program at that time and later said Thursdays were particularly worrisome. Why Thursdays? Probably because it took her more time. When you know the cycle of abuse, you'll understand this particular story, because in the cycle of abuse, what ends up happening is when you're in the period of the fight stage, a lot of times there's a certain standard that you have to live up to from your abuser that you may not be able to tell everybody. So, for example, I don't want you working on Fridays. If I see you working on Fridays, you're going to have trouble from me. You the boss, or I'm the boss, or whatever. So tell them no. And you can't work past 5 o'clock, let's say. They just decide to set up their own little rule, right? And you have to abide by that rule. Let me move myself over. There we go. So if you don't abide by that specific rule, then, you're going to have trouble. Now, I personally haven't had that happen to me, but like I used to work with domestic violence victims, so I kind of understand how the whole cycle goes, and I really think that this is the perfect example of it. Thursdays would be worrisome if she wasn't allowed to work on Friday, or if she wasn't allowed to work past a certain time on that day. She's nervous. She's like, if this goes over, it doesn't go right, or we have to stay longer. When I get home, it's going to be a problem. Do you see what I'm saying? So her mind's not going to be there. And that's exactly what he says. Give me just a second. Let me get some water. Sometimes, I hope you don't see that. All right. Sometimes she would be in her dressing room doing whatever she does between shows, and her behavior for the second show would seem erratic. It started happening more and more frequently, trailing off mid-sentence, not finishing her thoughts, etc. Okay. Added a long-time staffer. There were times when you would be briefing her and you'd say, "What's going on with her? She's not present." So, you're talking to somebody and they're just like, "Huh? What'd you say?" Her mind is not focused there. She's focused on what's going to happen when she gets home. This is just my opinion. It's all alleged. I don't know for sure. It seems to me to match that profile. And, heaven help her. God forbid that this is happening. But, I mean, these are several accounts. It's hard to believe otherwise for me. I mean, these are all different people. His own mother said it, So it's like, ugh. All right. Let's see. Let's move forward here. Williams raised fans' eyebrows when she fainted during a 2017 Halloween show. We talked about that, blaming it on dehydration and a hot Statue of Liberty costume. Last February, the host announced she was taking a 3-week hiatus from the show due to her Graves' disease and issues with hyperthyroidism. So she has Graves' disease and hyperthyroidism? That's a lot. All right. Not everyone is buying 54-year-old Williams' excuses, however. The talk show host has been candid about a decade-long cocaine addiction during her 20s and 30s. In July 2018, Williams told Entertainment Tonight that it's a miracle she's sober now, but demons still seemed to haunt her into her 40s and 50s. Okay? Wendy does everything really hard, said a former employee of Williams' national radio show. The Wendy Williams experience. Now, this is a totally different account. This is a former employee of the radio show that she had before her television show. Okay. Wendy does everything really hard, said a former employee of Williams' national radio show. The Wendy Williams Experience, which aired from 2002 to 2009, referring to Williams' radio days, the source said, if she's drinking, it's bottles and bottles. This is a quote directly from this source. Okay. A former intern, another account altogether. A former intern at the Wendy Williams Experience said part of his duties in 2008 included buying the host bottles of champagne and wine, which he had to sneak into the studio with a corkscrew in his back pocket so that Hunter, 47, would know his wife was drinking. So they were sneaking it in behind Kevin Hunter's back at the behest of Wendy Williams so that she could drink and he not know about it. Okay? According to sources from the radio show, Williams feared her husband's wrath. Exactly. This person also says she would hide in the bathroom and tell me to knock on the door when he left the office so she wouldn't have to see him. And they say that was common for Hunter to pull Williams into a private room and for staff to hear them fighting. This person says you hear slaps or some type of tussling going on. Look at old turtle head, turtleneck looking. Oh my goodness. The same source, we haven't moved forward from this particular intern source. The same source also recalls Hunter blowing up at a group of interns in 2008 for failing to successfully run an errand for him. So Hunter, which is him, started screaming at all the interns and said, everybody's fired, everybody go home, she recalled, or he recalled, who had been promoted, and she had been promoted, or recalled the former intern who had been promised a job at the Wendy Williams television show. So this happened at the radio show, but this particular intern was promised a job at the television show. So this was when the television show was about to pop off. I went to Wendy and said, your husband just told me to go home. And she said, well, it is what it is. Well, I mean, you can't exactly go against the dude that's gonna whoop your tail just because you want to hire somebody. Makes sense to me, right? The intern said he was offered his job. Oh, it's a he. Okay. The intern said he was offered his job back the next day, but declined. Hunter's temper, according to sources, could turn violent. One night around 2007, an associate witnessed Hunter acting aggressively toward Williams at a nightclub. Now, this is a friend of them, so this is a whole different account. When the couple left the club, Hunter hit Williams in the back seat of the car, according to a former friend who was with them. The blow to Williams' mouth was so severe there was blood everywhere, and that is a quote. When they got to a Midtown parking garage, Hunter grabbed Williams and put her into the bathroom. That's a quote also. This is a former friend, which means they ain't friends no more. Wonder why. Now, keep that in mind. That's a former friend, because former friends will dog you out if they pissed off at you. So I don't know, take this part with a grain of salt. Could be true, could be haterism. So keep that in mind. Although other accounts keep that grain of salt also. That's why I say allegedly, because these are former producers. These are former employees. These are staff sources who aren't giving their names. So these are people that could be mad at them. I don't see how they pissed off all these people though. I could see if it was just one, I'd be like, I don't know. But your own mama, like people that are still working with you, I give that a little more credibility. Former producers, I could say, yeah, probably. There's no need for him to really be upset. The producer can't necessarily be fired from the host, so I can't see how any ill will would make him speak negatively. Producers have different relationships with the hosts. They're kind of the people that produce the show, so it's not like I can go to somebody that's producing my show and say you're fired, because then I ain't got no more producer. How am I going to do it unless I do it myself, which I ain't got no money? I'm just saying. So do you see there's different relationships there? So just take everything with a grain of salt, even though, it looks like this was very well organized. Um, you still want to use your uh, God-given discernment. Okay? When they got to a Midtown parking garage, Hunter grabbed Williams and put her into a bathroom. The parking attendant called the police. No charges were filed. So there's another thing for you. No charges were filed. You'll hear that a lot in domestic violence situations. The person who is under duress will say, "Oh no, officer, no. We were just joking. I hit my hand on the thing. No. They saw it wrong. Oh no, it was an accident. Look at, oh, we love each other. Hee, kiss me, baby." You know what I mean? That's what they do because they're afraid if they press charges, what is this person going to do to them? How are they going to get away from this person? How is this going to happen? Or what if they decide to press charges and the police say, you know what? Nah, we ain't going to do it. Because then what happens is you get a situation where you tried to press charges and the police didn't follow through with it, and you got to go home with this person that you tried to file charges against. Ouch. Literally. So, they have, there's a cycle to it. That's all I can say on that. All right. Nicole Spence. Now she telling her name, so I don't know. Nicole Spence, who worked on the Wendy Williams experience from 2004 to 2008, made allegations of abusive behavior by Hunter in a June 2008 lawsuit against him and Williams. Okay, so she's mad for sure. The complaint claimed Hunter sexually harassed Spence and created a hostile work environment, and alleged that Spence witnessed Hunter physically assault his wife. Oh, snap. So she was working for Wendy, and allegedly he tried to put the moves on her, and she was like, wait a minute, hold up. No. And then witnessed also him physically assaulting Wendy. Mm. In one instance, alleged the complaint, Mr. Hunter stormed into the studio, demanded that other employees leave, and openly physically abused Miss Williams, pinning her against the wall with his hand around her neck, choking her while repeatedly pounding his fist into the wall directly by her head. The case was apparently settled on October 22nd, 2008. Spence did not respond to requests for comment. Okay, so they got this information from the lawsuit. Didn't come directly from that person. And she did not respond when they tried to contact her. Another former radio employee says they're not your typical couple. They're not a couple where you think there is love. It's very toxic. But look at the picture. They smiling. You see them just having a good old time. Just good old time. Right? Williams and Hunter met at a skating rink in 1994. Married. Ooh, 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 ooh. We ain't moving no backgrounds now. Hold on. Here we go. Let's lock that in and make sure that doesn't happen again. Here we go. All right. Williams and Hunter met at a skating rink in 1994, married 3 years later, and welcomed their son Kevin Jr. in 2000. That's 6 years. And reportedly, she was really trying to have a baby and couldn't. And if somebody's beating you up, do you think you might have a couple miscarriages and some other stuff? And look at that poor little boy. I'm not going to say he looks like he is just, I'm not, but y'all be your own judge of this picture. Some folks seem extra happy and others seem like, please, let's get this over with as soon as possible. I don't see happiness in any eyes. Just my personal opinion. Hunter, who owned a beauty parlor before meeting Williams, became her manager and production partner. He has no life without her. He didn't even own a computer when I worked for him, said the former radio employee. So this is all pretty much coming from former employees. Hunter is known for showing up to work in a green Ferrari wearing fur coats. Multiple sources say he smokes pot in his office at the Wendy Williams show, and both the longtime TV show staffer and the former TV producer said he sometimes walked the set with a bottle of tequila in his hand. You can take some folks out the hood. Despite having no previous TV experience, Hunter was made an executive producer of the show. He wasted no time letting the staff know he was in charge. Of course. There was definitely a point when we were scared to go to work, said a former talent employee at the TV show who quit a few years ago largely, the person said, due to Hunter's verbal abuse. Whoa. Wait a minute. Let me read that again. There was definitely a point when we were scared to go to work, said a former talent employee at the TV show who quit a few years ago, largely, the person said, due to Hunter's verbal abuse. The screaming got to be too much, the ex-employee said. Let me tell y'all something. A hostile work environment ain't no joke. I've never personally been in an abusive relationship, a long-term abusive relationship, but I've been in a long-term crazy work relationship. Like a boss that would try to argue with you like you their girlfriend or something all the time. like always nitpicking and trying to argue with you. And that gets annoying. I want to go to work and be at peace. I don't want to argue with, I don't even know you like that. So I feel that. I really do. It's hard to go to work and feel like, even though you're not physically fighting with somebody, but it's always, as soon as you see this person, they want to try to get with you. And they ain't got time for that. I would like to go to work and do my job and be happy and be creative and, be free, be myself. So there it goes. The screaming got to be too much, the ex-employee said. So, while no sources at the Wendy Williams show report having witnessed any physical abuse by Hunter since the show started, former employees say he regularly humiliated Williams. That's another sign of abuse, humiliating your partner in public. Yes. And we don't talk about this enough, but this happens to men a lot. Women love, especially certain women, are abusers mentally, not necessarily always physically, but emotionally, you know, speaking down to their partner, just humiliating them publicly. Those are abusive tactics. And if you're doing that, that's not a good relationship. It's not healthy. So, at one point, she became vegan-esque, said the former TV producer. Oh, the former TV producer is back now. So they must be interviewing these two people at the same time, is what I'm gathering. Because it's a former employee. It's like they're going back and forth between quotes between this former employee and the former TV producer. Okay. So Kevin would berate her if she ate something that was not on their eating plan. He'd scream, "Don't be a fat ass." Really? I couldn't be in no I couldn't be in no relationship like that. You see, I got my extra chin going right now. I got a little extra boobage up here too. Got a little wingspan on the arm and everything. You call me, I'll show you how big I can be. But anyway, it's one thing to want to better your partner's lifestyle by saying, "Hey, babe, let's go on a diet," or "I'm concerned about your health." But don't run up calling me no fat ass. We gonna have issues. I'm just saying. It's a cycle of abuse, the ex-producer continued. I agree, ex-producer. According to the former TV producer, Hunter tried to keep Williams from fostering close relationships like friendships, and that is definitely a cycle of abuse tactic. When she and a show wardrobe stylist developed a rapport, Williams took care to keep it secret, said the ex-TV producer. Once they went to a designer's showroom in Manhattan, and the stylist drove Wendy back home to New Jersey. Wendy asked to be dropped off a block away so Kevin wouldn't see that she was in the car with the stylist, and the former TV producer adding that Hunter eventually found out and the stylist was let go from her position shortly afterward. So she was not even allowed to hang out with, people outside of, and that's very typical of abusive relationship. They want to get you away from your family. They want to get you away from your friends. You just stay in this box with me because I'm going to do some things to you that I don't want you telling other people about. That's what it is. It is what it is. And there's the famous side chick of Mr. Hunter. Alleged side chick. But Williams has kept the faith, brushing off rumors of Hunter's alleged mistress, yes, I said mistress, Sharina Hudson, on the air, stating in September 2017, "I stand by my guy." Of course she does. She's not going to say she don't stand by him because he's going to beat the hell out of her when she get home. Come on. On Monday's show, guest host Nick Cannon shared that he had spoken to Williams and that her Kevin, and little Kevin are all good. The passion is still there because that's what you need in times like this. By the way, the staff allegedly was pissed off about that conversation. These are people you have to understand that have been on her show for years. Some has followed her from her radio show to the TV show, and that spans from, the 2000s, early 2000s and before that even until now. So these are people that consider themselves close to Wendy, and they call her to check on her and she doesn't answer the phone. Then this new dude, Nick Cannon, I guess because he's a celebrity, he calls and he gets an answer. Ugh. They didn't like that too much, so they had some things to say around social media, allegedly. Uh, let's see, where was I? For now, those close to Williams hope the she gets the help she needs. I hope so too. I would. It's hard to get out of a cycle of abuse like that. All jokes and rhetoric aside, when you're stuck in a situation like that, I can imagine how absolutely horrid it can be trying to get out. I've heard several, more than dozens of accounts, probably hundreds of people trying to escape abuse, and some succeeding and some not succeeding, and some succeeding and then reverting back to their abuser to continue the cycle until the next time they try to get away. So let's see here. I don't F with Kevin. I think he's a terrible human being, said Charlemagne the God, who was a close friend of Williams and co-hosted her radio show until he was fired in 2008. Oh, okay. I didn't mean. Okay, okay. Ooh, some things just clicked. I might have to go back and do some more stories. Hold on. All right, so Charlemagne used to co-host with Williams on the radio show. Peep game. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I'm late, y'all. All right. I will just tell you that I hope Wendy Williams wakes up before one day she doesn't wake up. Hey, did y'all get that? I will just tell you that I hope Wendy Williams wakes up one day before she doesn't wake up one day. Did you hear that? Wake up, Wendy. Girl, you need to get out of there. That man, let him go on his business. I don't care if you had to split your half of your entire everything. I don't care. That is not worth your peace of mind. There's not enough love in this world to let somebody beat on you. I'm sorry. It's just not. I can't do it. And I can't see how she does it. This woman is a empire. I can't say second only to Oprah because the woman going to get offended. She's going to be mad. So I'm not going to do that. But her and Oprah is neck and neck. Wendy, Oprah, Wendy, Oprah, Oprah, Wendy, Oprah, Wendy. Do you see what I'm saying? They both up there. You know what I'm saying? How are you going to be in? Maybe that's why Oprah didn't get married to Stedman. She was like, I'm not going to have you trying to run me. Wendy need to get some of that. That's all I'm saying. I got to go, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me go to another screen. Let me see here. There we go. All right. I want y'all to see. You can follow me on Twitter at flyshoes.com. You see that down there in the comments. It's just now flying by. Don't forget to get Hustler's Wives, The Circle, on Amazon. You can follow one of the links in the description box here in the comments. On my YouTube, Myka, aka Butter. That's right, that's me. Thank you, baby, for tuning in. Don't forget, you can also follow me on Instagram. Not that I really use any of these other platforms, but if every once in a while when I do my little update, y'all can bring it, and I can see how y'all doing too, because I follow everybody that follows me. So eventually, if you post it, I'm going to see it. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, be sure to be nice to someone who's been nice to you. Y'all take care now, you hear?